What is up, everybody? It is time for MLB Live Before Lock, and we've got a nice day. No football today, baseball being the main focus, and Eric and I are going to break down everything that you guys need to know tonight. So do us a favor, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are sponsored here by DraftKings Pick 6. They've got a new offer going right now. If you are a new customer to DraftKings Pick 6, your first $5 in pick sets, that is going to get you $50 in bonus picks over at DraftKings Pick 6. So a pretty good offer. If you guys haven't checked it out and you are in a state that has DraftKings Pick 6, why not take advantage of an opportunity to put some free money in your pocket? Play $5 in pick sets, get $50 in bonus picks. So go check out DraftKings Pick 6. And then, of course, like this video. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Do us a big favor. Give us the like, the follow, the subscribe, all that kind of stuff. It takes a half second of your time, and it really does help us in the YouTube algorithm. Helps keep this content free. So if you can do that, we really do appreciate it. Eric, what's happening with you, man?
Not much. Nice to be, on the other side of week one. Got some stuff right, got some stuff wrong, but overall was pretty flat. And compared to some of my previous week one results I was going through, that's better than what it's been in the past. So I'm actually okay with that, both from a DFS and a betting perspective, but kind of excited to have a day where it's just 15 MLB games. I get to be out here in my tiny little house with Duke. I get to just kind of grind from now until the end of the night. Plus, I think this is probably the worst pitching slate I've ever seen in my entire life. So that'll be fun too. For like a 11-game slate, I can't remember something that was like, oh, cool, we're all going to jam Emmett Sheehan and George Kirby and Zebby Matthews, and those are your three pitchers. I think the star quality of any of them would probably be lacking on any other slate, that's for sure.
Yeah, and Eric also probably in a chipper mood because his NFL team is undefeated with a new quarterback at the helm in what was an interesting game that did you delete any of your old tweets at all from the earlier stages of the game? Or are those still alive?
Nope, still there. Here's the thing. It was one of those things where if you're a Minnesota sports fan, you know what I'm talking about. Life is miserable. It's very, very difficult to even look my parents in the eyes and tell them that I love them because they made me a Minnesota sports fan. But here's the thing. JJ McCarthy, it's not how you start the game, as long as you're not down by 60. It's how you finish the game. And JJ McCarthy, he finished a damn football game. So it was nice to see him get a little bit more comfortable. But let's be serious. The main thing that happened is we established the run in the third quarter. That gave us a little bit of time for JJ McCarthy. And yeah, go ahead, just pull him up. Just all of it. I went through a lot of stages yesterday. I'm very happy to have watched the game by myself. Go ahead.
All right, so we are going to troll Eric a little bit for the start of this show here. So I don't know the exact context here, but I assume this is something to do with the Vikings start to the game. You just got like the meh emoji right here from Eric. Mm-hmm. Now you've got a GIF. This game sucks balls. Yep. Now we've got a home run bet that Eric won. So we broke up some of the misery with a home run win, and that's nice. We also got a super chat here from Clintwood83. It says Eric equals the pick 6 GOAT. Follow him over on Tails, and head on over to tails.bet. You can follow me. You can follow Eric. You can get into Eric's Tails package. We should be winning some of our MLB futures that I had posted in Eric's Tails package soon as well. And when you post those long odds bets, Eric, you only need one of them to win and have yourself a pretty profitable season. And I feel pretty good that at least one of them is going to win. And Aroldis Chapman, 18-1 to win the to win the AL reliever of the year. That one's sitting pretty well, and that will cover all my futures for the baseball season.
Collins has got to be live still. Collins is still live.
Yeah. Collins is live, but he was like minus 200, and now he's at like plus 500. So probably not going to win, but it's still live. But the Chapman win is going to be the big one for me for the futures. But here, Eric won a home run bet, so want to give him props for that. And now we get back to his Vikings tweets. We suck. I need a drink. Why do bad things happen to good people? Who I don't know who this could be referring to because you're not a good person. What is the meaning of life? Eric is now having an existential crisis. Having Joe Buck and Troy Aikman narrate your team's demise is somehow even worse than you'd imagine. This is why I watch the Manningcast. The Manningcast is really a much better way to consume the game, in my opinion. Yep. Now, it is officially Timberwolves season, Minnesota. Can't wait. So Eric has now already moved on to the NBA season, and he has given up on the Vikings as a whole. And here we go. The Vikings get back into the game. Well, how the turntables. And now we've got them rising from the dead. And then finally, a tweet that I did like last night. McCarthy. I knew the kid was special the whole time, never a doubt. And then a 1-0, never a doubt skull. So there it is, the many emotions of Eric Lindquist. And yeah, this was all over like a 2.5 hour time frame, Eric.
I was going through it. I'm glad that other people were going through it with me, but yeah, we'll get to baseball. We got you covered, Josh. No problem. But the NFC North is going to be a gauntlet, man. It's going to be a joke with Ben Johnson in the division, the Detroit Lions offensive line, which looked like the little kitty paws going up against that Green Bay front now. Green Bay in general is your juggernaut, potentially not of the entire NFC, because Philly still, I'm going to give them the leeway there, but I mean, top to bottom, NFC North is just a joke how good it is. So, well, we're going to be going through that about 16 more times this regular season. Can't wait, Bart Scott style.
Yeah, we've got Chris Cassetta in the chat here says it's a baseball podcast. A big part of that is making fun of Eric. I think that people should be aware of that, is that a big portion of the viewership here is making sure that we cover all the ups and downs. Plus, I just found that to be pretty entertaining to follow there. And yeah, Kenny Brayboy says bipolar Eric. Yeah, it was the many emotions that he went through as a Vikings fan last night. But now, intro's out of the way, we could start talking about the baseball slate and any kind of overarching thoughts on the slate, Eric. Anything in terms of the weather that's standing out to you, or any kind of general concerns at this point in the season?
Weather, the one thing to point out is just how much cooler it is around the country. I don't even think it's necessarily like us sitting here saying there's this, there's that. I mean, we have one game that has a huge total. We have one on the entire board that has a big total. That is going to be your A's in Boston game. Everything else, it's just getting cooler. It's getting a little bit more projectable. You're not necessarily getting some of these 15, 16 run games. I say that knowing that like yesterday, if it had been the early slate, the ones that Matt and I didn't cover, like the Cleveland game went completely berserk. There were a couple of them that went berserk, but it's more just you look at the board, and there are a lot of ways that we can get different on these type of slates because the top is basically on top of the ball or something. I'm trying to think of the right way to explain it, but the whole point is that now is when you really want to make some of your ownership conscious decisions. We don't have Coors Field. We have one game environment that looks ridiculous. And then we have pitchers that I swear to God, I repeat, this is the worst pitching slate that I can remember on a 10 plus game slate in a very, very long time.
Do have a super chat here from Morgan, who recently had a pretty damn big GPP. I believe the biggest MLB GPP win that anybody's had the entire baseball season when he won the main event a couple of weeks ago. But Morgan super chat says, Eric played baseball in high school, right?
Nope.
Do you think he was a pitcher or a catcher?
Nope.
Thoughts? I believe that he was Eric, you could correct me if I'm mistaken here. I believe you were the team manager who got to play in the final game of the season at the end. Isn't that correct?
The end of October, I am going back to my high school to go get inducted into the High School Hall of Fame and the South Dakota High School Athletic Hall of Fame. So you know what? If I had to guess, Greg, I was not the team manager for baseball. It's probably not what it was, but I got Morgan. We got your joke. Ha ha ha! Congratulations. Sit on your pile of money and shut up.
Yeah.
Me.
So Eric was one of the better team managers in all of, in all of Minnesota high school history. There is nobody who's given out water better to their team. There's nobody who's cheered harder on the side. But yeah, Eric was one of the great team managers. And if I remember correctly, some people say that in the same season he both made a layup in the basketball team's final game of the season, and he also got a bunt single in the baseball team's final game of the season. So a multi-sport athlete, Eric Lindquist. Morgan, thank you very much for the super chat. We do appreciate it. And yeah, people in chat, they're celebrating you as well. We've got the trophy here from EMAC. We've also got Tom Olson saying, wow, congrats, Eric. Kenny Brayboy is saying cheerleader. Yeah, you didn't see the news? He joined the Minnesota. Oh,
No. Wipe it clean from the internet. We don't need Greg getting canceled today. Let's continue on our merry way. Holy mother of God.
Yeah. He's on the team. It's a big story. It's been all over the internet.
You can yell at me during the course of a day, and you know what? I'll still cover for you when you start going the wrong direction because we're actually friends. Don't you dare do that again. All right, we're back.
Oh, yeah, Eric the GOAT. Congrats, Eric. Yeah, lots of excitement going on here in the chat. So Eric, let's start talking about some of these pitching options. And to what you said, they're not great for today.
No.
They are not great at all. Here, I'm going to sort by the pitching exposures. And we do have some pitchers on the high end who are quality caliber pitchers. I have a feeling we've probably had some worse slates for pitching. It's still not great, though. You've got Shane Bieber on the high end pitching against the Astros. You got George Kirby. He's going to be pitching at home against the Cardinals. Not the highest upside in the world, but I kind of like the matchup for him, and he comes with a decent floor. There is no pitcher who's crazy chalk today or anything like that. The most popular pitcher on the slate is a 26% owned Emmett Sheehan pitching at home against the Rockies. But let's start by talking about the two pay-up options. Shane Bieber, he's contrarian at 9% owned. You got George Kirby, the more popular pay-up option at 24%. Relative to the ownership on these pitchers, which direction would you rather go?
Oh, it's got to be George Kirby purely because of the ballpark. I'm still mad at him. Like, I've sat here for 2 years and just talked about how overrated George Kirby is relative to what his market price is all the time. Like, he's one of the pitchers that if you go back through it, you're not profitable betting George Kirby at his prices over the course of the last 2 years. You're just not. But part of that is because he's on a really good team. And from a DFS perspective, it matters less because we're just worried about fantasy points. Well, he gets by on location plus. He doesn't have the best stuff. He also went to Elon. So obviously that ends up putting him down a peg in my world. But George Kirby is pitching against this version of St. Louis. Got Alec Burleson back yesterday, but Nolan Arenado's still out. So there are strikeouts that are still going to be available throughout. And it's such a good ballpark to be pitching in. He's getting the most ownership here in the Sims. I kind of agree with that too. We'll get into some of my issues with Robbie Ray against Arizona. Bless you and all that stuff. But George Kirby, I look at him at 10K. He's the one guy. I'm playing 50 lineups today. I'm okay getting to him around that 30-35% mark that you've got on your screen.
Yeah, you see, this is what the Sims are giving us, a lot more exposure to George Kirby than to Shane Bieber. And to be honest, I've been pretty surprised how quickly Shane Bieber got back to looking like just quality pitcher. He does have a 4.15 ERA, but you look at some of the underlying numbers for Shane Bieber: 3.18 expected ERA, 2.74 FIP, 32% strikeout rate. He's only made 3 starts, 17 innings pitched, so it's a small sample size. But one thing I know you always like to look at, Eric, is the velocity, and his velocity is up since we last saw him pitch, which I think probably speaks to Bieber was probably dealing with some sort of underlying injury to his shoulder for that last year that he pitched in the big leagues, where his average fastball velocity was 91.5 miles per hour. The year that he won the Cy Young and he was, super elite, he had a 94 mile per hour average fastball velocity. Now he's back at 93 miles per hour, which is right in line with what he's been when he's been healthy for his entire career. So I do think that Shane Bieber is a little bit interesting as a contrarian option, but my preference is going to be George Kirby in a far easier matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I know this is kind of a weird thing to say and just throw out on a stream, but I kind of know Shane Bieber, like personally. He went to UC Santa Barbara with a couple of my friends out in LA, and he's in the same social circle. We all went up to the same wedding in Tahoe last summer and got to hang out a little bit, but that was like right after he got hurt too. And, he talked about it. He's just like, he's just like a bro. He's just, yeah, my arm hurt. It was not great. And it's like, okay, well, sounds great. See you later. And he's just a really good dude overall. I'm very happy to see this. But he's 10-3 in this spot against Houston. Not a ton of strikeouts available. Now you get Yordan Alvarez back in there. You get Jesus Sanchez. I like him a lot. He's a really good dude, but I can't really get to him on this slate when we just have expensive offenses that I'm interested in. Talked about the aforementioned Boston and Athletic spot. And I think no matter which way you slice it, George Kirby's pitching in a cavern. Like, this is a cavern up there in T-Mobile. So I'm just going to strongly prefer him overall. I will say this. Did you see how he got hit up and carved up last time? It was basically just by way of BABIP. Like, he just got BABIP to death.
Yeah, I'm actually going to pull up really quickly. I mean, overall, so like he did have 6 innings, 5 earned runs, and it's all like super small sample sizes. But he did have a 2.14 FIP and a 2.65 xFIP in that start. He gave up no homers. He had 6 strikeouts to 2 walks. It was also a very hitter-friendly ballpark because he was in, as you call it, Cincinnati Small Park on the road in Cincinnati. But yeah, I'm kind of curious to go and look at the baseball savant data from that game and just look at what the expected batting average was for the Reds. So that game was the 3rd. All right, so let's pull this up. The 3rd and Cincinnati, Toronto. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like crazy low or anything like that, but for a team that put up 9 runs, the expected batting average for the Reds in that game, it was 264. And going through some of the early stages of that game, there were, you see like a single by Matt McClain in the 2nd inning to extend a rally where he had an expected batting average of 140. There was, definitely he got, he got done in by BABIP, as you said there, looking at some of the numbers. So overall, I like what I've seen out of Shane Bieber for today. Still going to have to prefer George Kirby in the easier matchup. But if you do have an otherwise chalky lineup and want to differentiate it a little bit, I think Shane Bieber is a decent guy to go to.
Yeah, I'm getting right around 5% Bieber. So I have more than what we're getting right now in the Sims. He's right around 10%, though. And that's the whole point is like, I think he's still a little bit over owned at that number. So did the Sims. And that's kind of why I'm siding with it. But Shane Bieber is one of those guys that I promise you very, very soon, I'm going to be backing in a very heavy way if people think that he's quote unquote down. I'm hoping for a very, very chill performance from him tonight.
We got a super chat from Aiden. He's going to the Twins Angels game tonight, Eric. He's going to get to see your very own Minnesota Twins.
He's going to see me at the game today. I'm going to be at the game. I'm going to be there. So I'll see you, Aiden, if you want to kick it.
So he's going to the Twins Angels game. Anybody specific we like to homer? Probably an Angels batter against one of the Twins relievers. I think over the last 3 weeks, Eric, I've had 3 individual games where I've had outright bets on Twins money line, and they've been up by like 3-4 runs at one point, and then the bullpen just blows it when they come in late. So take that for what it's worth.
I just saw Ben Raza posted, as we were on the show, he just posted money line, and I could not have screamed from the top of a cavern more last night on my show that first 5 money line is all that I care about betting on my Twins going forward, because there's no other way to do it. First 5, I'll isolate Zebby versus Kyle Hendricks and call it a day. Our bullpen is just trash. Plus, is Joe Adele even going to be in this lineup today? Because he got scratched yesterday. I currently don't have him in. I haven't seen if that lineup came out yet.
Yeah, I'd say probably not. I don't think that'll end up, because it's like, if he's not maybe it was a tweak yesterday and he'll be totally fine. But like, what's the point at this point in the season? What's the point?
None. There's none.
I'm gonna go with Mike. I'm gonna go with Mike Trout, by the way.
Okay, I'll give a Minnesota one because obviously that's who I'm going to go watch. I'm looking at my model right now. The closest to positive EV that I've got is Trevor Larnach, but he's still a little bit negative. Actually, you know what? Luke Keeschel, I can get behind. It's a longer number. I've got his fair price closer to like plus 680, but he's sitting at plus 750 right now. I'm looking at Bovada here to take a look because I know that's what Aiden takes a look at the most. You know what? Actually, do this, Aiden. Go post on Novig north of plus 750. I guarantee you it'll get picked up because I think it was at plus 800 earlier, but Luke Keeschel, he'll be my pick.
All right, so let's get back to talking about the pitchers for today. And yeah, we talked about the 2 high-end guys that are priced 10K plus. Here's what we got in the 9K range for pitchers: Michael King, Robbie Ray, Luis Garcia, Emmett Sheehan. And you got all these guys other than Luis Garcia are pulling some ownership. Emmett Sheehan being the chalkiest pitcher on the slate, 25.8% ownership going to him. You got Robbie Ray, 16% owned, Michael King, 11.5%. For cash games, I do think the combo should be Emmett Sheehan and George Kirby, Eric. I think that's where you want to go for cash games. What do you make of Sheehan relative to his ownership in GPPs? Because while he has had a solid season, he's got a great matchup against the Rockies. I kind of feel like he's been priced appropriately for this. That gives us a decision point where, you know, a lot of these other times you see pitchers who are like solid pitchers like Sheehan, and they're going up against the Rockies. They'll be like $7,800, $8,000, and then they're 40% owned, but they look like guys you kind of have to play. What do you make of Sheehan when he's actually 9K and has been priced up for the matchup?
Yeah, I want more. I want more than this. I'm worried, though. If somebody got steamed up, I don't think it's going to be George Kirby. I think it'll be Emmett Sheehan against Colorado. We all know what it is. It's Colorado. You get an opportunity. Yesterday, the freest of free money existed on over 7.5 strikeout per glass now. I talked a little bit on the betting show how I wanted to take that up to 10, and I didn't in the end because the numbers just didn't follow the distribution curve the way I wanted it to. They were just deflated on the back half of it. So I was like, you know what? I'll just stay with 7.5 and watch him rack up to 11 strikeouts. The back was no concern. He had no problems. And you're starting to get a little bit more swing and miss out of guys like Freeman. They ended up having Warming Bernabel get removed from that game even before his at-bat, even before his first at-bat. There's just so many good iterations of this Rockies lineup that you can get where if it doesn't have Bernabel, and, there's going to be a day that Freeman gets a day off, and it could just be a ballistic lineup. Everybody in that lineup would be 22% or higher against right-handed pitching, and it just would make all the sense in all the land to jam anybody who is functional on the other side. And Emmett Sheehan, he does have the kind of barrel percentage and hard hit that I do want to do some stacks on the other side. I'll have 2 or 3 Rockies stacks on the other side, no doubt about it. But Emmett Sheehan, man, especially on FanDuel, I'm playing in a couple lineups in that 55 today. I love the idea of just getting to Emmett Sheehan as kind of your main go-to pitcher against Colorado.
Yeah, we have him projected as the second overall highest projected pitcher just by raw fantasy points on the slate, only behind George Kirby. And on a slate where pitching leaves a little bit to be desired, I don't think there's that much opportunity cost to the 9K price point just because of the matchup against the Rockies. I think it brings a pretty big floor to the table as well. So Emmett Sheehan, he shows up more in the Sims than any other pitcher on the slate. The ownership on him looks warranted. The ownership on George Kirby looks warranted. But now I want to know from you, if you're rostering a pitcher in the 9K range who is not Emmett Sheehan, is there somebody else you like to go to maybe pivot off of him in this price range?
So I'll have a little bit of Robbie, but let's go through the Robbie Ray numbers because they just kind of are what they are at this point. He is a declining arm who's not getting nearly as much swing and miss. And it's strange to me because he's still getting that knuckle curve to get quite a bit of swing and miss and change up quite a bit of swing and miss against righties. I can't believe the slider's playing as well as what it is. Had right around a 16% swinging strike rate against him, against righties, that is. And one thing that you get with Arizona is you get these switch hitters. So you really need to pay close attention to the platoon because they've always got it. Look what happens when you have Gabriel Moreno and you move him into this top 4 because now he's batting cleanup. I assume that he's going to continue to bat cleanup, whether he's going to DH or catch. It doesn't really matter. The guy was a 15% strikeout guy last season. This year, it's been even lower than that against lefties so far, as you might expect with the platoon. You then have Perdomo with a 7.2% strikeout rate against left-handed pitching. That's ridiculous. Ketel Marte, 13.2%. That's really good. Then Carroll, who's just been pretty good against everybody. Blaze Alexander, who's been sub 25%, who's a guy who I thought was going to strike out more against them. McCann, we've seen times when he struck out a lot in his big league career. Not this year. He's been making a lot more contact, not necessarily playing for the power that he used to have. Has 0 home runs against lefties, but only a 21% strikeout rate. I know Lawler, who, is one of their prized prospects, they ended up paying Perdomo, a really good decision, by the way, based on what we've seen. But I went through last night and I just kind of throw everything into AI and kind of ensemble my sheets together. And I was spit out what Robbie Ray's projection should be in this spot. 4.3, 4.2, 4.4. And then it was just hey, what's the median outcome? Everything was landing on 4 for strikeouts. That's very uncommon for a guy with a 5.5 strikeout prop. So I bet the under on that. I get that he could still go 6 innings and be a strong candidate on this kind of a slate, but more so because of what else there is. And I do strongly prefer Zebby Matthews. I strongly prefer Emmett Sheehan just because of what those strikeout matchups are relative to Robbie Ray.
Yeah, I honestly don't love any of these guys. Robbie Ray is if I have to pick somebody else, he's going to be the guy. It helps that he's going to be pitching at home today in that really pitcher-friendly park in San Francisco. Robbie Ray also is somebody who, when he's on, he could be somewhat matchup proof in terms of he has some of these starts where he is just lights out and, he still brings some strikeout upside of the table, 24.6% strikeout rate. He is showing some signs of aging in terms of the swing and miss stuff. Hasn't shown itself quite as often this year as in some previous years. His velocity is also down a little bit. So anyway, long story short for me, I don't really love anybody in this price range outside of Emmett Sheehan. But if I had to roster somebody, I'll say Robbie Ray, but with minimal confidence. I'd rather, instead of Robbie Ray, I'd actually rather find the $800 to get up to Shane Bieber if I could.
Absolutely. I do think that that's something that's actually semi-warranted. the more I think about it, especially like 10-3 Shane Bieber is not going to get steamed on this slate. So yeah, maybe I give a little bit of a bump from his 5% and move that up a little. But Robbie Ray currently coming in at 16% ownership. I'm going to be below that for sure. I'll be in like that 8-10% range. But if you told me he went 7 innings, found 6-7 strikeouts, as you said, he can be matchup proof. But other than the 8 and 9 hole with the guys that I kind of mentioned a second ago, Lawler and Barossa, who I've currently got there, I don't think this is a very good matchup for strikeouts.
Yeah, and we've got a question here from Einstein. He wants to know, how do we feel about Michael King for today? I don't think he's going to pitch very deep into the game. Yeah. So this is Michael King's first big league start since August 9th. And before that, he had not pitched since May 18th. So you got a guy who gets hurt and misses nearly 3 months, comes back and gets hurt again. I have to think they're going to be cautious with him, especially when you consider the Padres, their playoff spot is very secure. It's not like 100%, but it's pretty damn secure at this point. They want to have Michael King 100% ramped up for the playoffs. That's the goal right now. I don't think they want to risk injuring him down the final stretch of the year here. I think everything here is just going to be about ramping him up for the playoffs. So I know that pitching isn't all that great for today, but I really question his upside when you consider he's made 1 start since May 18th. He went 2 innings and he got hurt again.
Yeah, he had 44 pitches on the 28th it was, and then he did another simulated game in between it. So the 28th, the 2nd, he ended up going 52 pitches, and now we have a start. 52, I'm putting him at 65, and that's being pretty generous, I think. So I can't really extend it by it. I did a lot of digging on him last night because I'm a huge Michael King fan. I thought the Yankees did a genius thing and made him a lot of money by giving him an opportunity at the end of a lost season in 2023. He has ran to the bank with it, and he has such good stuff. He is such a great dude, too. Like, Michael King is going to be a quality pitcher in the big leagues as long as he stays healthy. Same thing with Shane Bieber, but can't really get there on a slate. I'm projecting him to pitch 65 throws of the old ball. Not going to happen.
Yeah, even with us questioning the upside and the quality of some of the other pitchers on this slate, you know, you got him sandwiched in between George Kirby and Robbie Ray. And Sheehan's a little bit cheaper. You got Shane Bieber a little bit more expensive. 50 to 60 pitches for Michael King. It's really hard for me to see him landing in an optimal lineup, even if he's like perfect. If he goes out and let's say he's flawless, gets through 4 shutout innings with 7 strikeouts. I agree. You give him the flawless victory, the MK win right there. I still don't even know that would be enough for him to be in the optimal lineup tonight.
Yeah, it would be very hard pressed. I mean, can he get there? Can he get to the 5-inning mark that you need to get a win? Yes, he can. But can he get, think about it. That's 15 outs. You're asking him to put up a 50% strikeout rate. Like that's literally what you're asking him to do in this spot, is to strike out 8. 8 and 5 innings is the only way that he would get there in like a tournament winner or an optimal way. Why even risk that? There's so many other cheaper pitchers that can still work out for you. And I don't know, you have 8 other lineup spots that need to convert on bats. Kind of important.
We'll talk about the next price range of pitcher, looking in the 8K range, where not that many guys to consider here. You've got Spencer Strider, who I think easily is the most upside in this price range. What are the odds of him actually reaching that upside? That is a totally different story. But you got Spencer Strider, Adrian Hauser, Zach Gallen on the road against the Giants, and then Cade Horton, who I get that he's been pitching lights out from a results standpoint. I do not buy what Cade Horton has been doing as of late. It could be enough to end up winning him Rookie of the Year because, you know, it's a pretty weak crop of rookies. But what do you make of the 8K price range, Eric? Is there anybody that you're looking to roster here?
Not really. I mean, you can get to a little bit of Zach Gallen just because of the ballpark. And Spencer Strider, it's different. Like, Spencer Strider is just a different kind of cat here overall. Like, you just have to change the goalposts for him. I backed him a lot. Once he came back, looked all right to me. And now we're getting enough of a sample size to be able to say, yeah, this is pretty damn concerning. I will say the Cubs have been pretty damn concerning themselves lately, but a 185 expected ISO to lefties, 226 expected ISO to righties. So it's just a ridiculous amount of power. And then Cade Horton on the other side, basically no strikeout equity, and then a 215 expected ISO against righties, which just 125 next to 215. He is one of those prime guys that you need to just have marked on your sheet and say, I need to bet some homers at open eventually in a good spot. I'm not going to do it with the Braves today, but I can tell you one of his next 2 or 3 starts before the end of the regular season, there is a very good chance I bet an entire team for home runs against him, especially from the right side.
He does have a 2.78 ERA, but he's got an expected ERA of 3.99. He's got a 20.6% strikeout rate. Pretty much every projection model has him with a fair talent level of somewhere around like a mid-ish 4 ERA. So, yeah, I mean, when it comes to Cade Horton, and then, by the way, also on top of all of that, he's also going to be pitching in a hitter-friendly ballpark tonight on the road in Atlanta here. So, I don't really know exactly what the upside is of Cade Horton. I'll tell you one guy who I do have a little bit of interest in here, Eric, that is Zach Gallen at $8,400, who he's a little washed at this point in his career. There's no real doubt about that when it comes to Zach Gallen, but he still can generate some strikeouts, and he's in a very, very pitcher-friendly environment. So worst year of his career, 4.77 ERA, 4.48 expected ERA, but he is still somebody who can generate strikeout upside on occasion. You're putting him in such a pitcher-friendly environment that I think Zach Gallen at, 9% ownership, he's somebody worth considering in this 8K range. I want to know, what do you make? Are you willing to take any chances on Strider at this point?
Oh yeah, I'll take some shots on him, but I'm not gonna hit complete eject on him. It's just not somebody that I want to have in a quarter of my lineups. I can tell you that much. He'll be in that 15% range more than likely. And I think that's probably the lesson of this entire slate, Greg. Look at what the Sims are doing. Like, we don't have a single pitcher pulling north of 44% ownership, and it's Emmett Sheehan against Colorado, because of course it is. Like a 9K Emmett Sheehan. This is not a slate to say, I have so much conviction over this guy or that guy. I mean, I really like Zebby as we get down into the sub 8K range. So do other people. I think Will Warren and Jack Leiter are kind of interesting as guys to maybe sprinkle, but I can't make a case for them in like some extreme kind of way. And Michael King has, a limitation. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, I would love Michael King because I always do, but there's just a slate. There's a lack of like that go-to guy on this slate. So yeah, I'm happy to be playing it pretty flat. I'm going to get north of 50% for Emmett Sheehan in my final run of these 50 lineups, but there's no doubt that everybody else on this entire slate, 35%, that is like the tops I will get to anybody.
Strider kind of only carries upside because he was good at one point in time. And he looked pretty decent at one point this year. I don't know if he's just fatigued now or if there's some other injuries trying to pitch through. He said more than 3 strikeouts, Eric, once since July 23rd. That's insane. That was impossible for Strider at one point, that he wouldn't generate more strikeouts than that. And so if you look at him overall for the year, he has 106 strikeouts and 101 innings, but it's because he was pitching legitimately well for a stretch of time, and he's completely fallen apart down the stretch of the year here. So I find it really hard to back Spencer Strider because just based on the velocity and the results from over the last couple of months, like, I just don't think that he's any better than any of the run-of-the-mill pitchers who are on the slate today, and he isn't generating the strikeouts anymore. At least in the past, when he went through some of the stretches where maybe he was struggling, it'd be like, oh, cool, yeah, maybe he'll go up 3-4 runs, but he's still going to strike out 9, 10, 11 hitters. He just doesn't seem to have that in his arsenal at the moment.
Doesn't. It's gone by the wayside. Had somebody in the Discord today ask me about Spencer Strider, who was sitting at 6 strikeouts on Prize Picks. It's always fun to talk through. Like, when you have strikeouts, there's the 5.5s, the 6.5s at a sports book. You're never going to have the 6, but at Pick'em, specifically Prize Picks, you will have 6s that will show up, and trying to figure out the math of like when it's advantageous to do it, when it's not. I mean, that's a really good number to lock in, because his chances of getting to 7 and actually burning you if you build an optimal card type, like if you build a 6-pick card and it gets demoted to a 5 because you push that one, just fine with it. I try not to add any of those into the 3-pick ones where it would then drop to 3 and have your payout be like a -140 type card type. We could get into the math of that someday, but my whole point is that he has been dog shit, and I didn't realize how dog shit he was until I kind of went through some of that data. I know I targeted him pretty recently with like a Colson Montgomery homer and a couple of other guys recently, but boy, has it been tough sledding for him.
7K range. Hard for me to not like Zebby Matthews here. 21% owned. I think he's really under owned for this slate. You got a strikeout pitcher going up against the Angels. That's always going to be of interest to me. Zebby Matthews overall for the year does have a 4.73 ERA, but the underlying numbers do look a little bit better. But most importantly, you have a guy at $7,700 against a team that strikes out more against right-hand pitching than any other team in baseball. And Zebby Matthews is a 26.6% strikeout rate. Sign me up for that at $7,700. He's actually my favorite pitcher on the slate relative to ownership.
Oh, wow. Okay. Emmett Sheehan's mine, but I can see the case for Zebby Matthews. The guy has a slider that's just ridiculous. People can't see it. People cannot see his slider. Both sides of the plate, too, for what it's worth. I mean, he's considerably better. And I love some of the Minnesota telecast, if you ever put that on, which, again, tortured soul over here. But I always love their breakdown of it. Like, just it falls through the floor. It's a really, really good strikeout pitch. That said, you have to set it up by getting ahead in counts. And when he gets in trouble, he's always been somebody who's had a pretty good walk rate, like 7.1%, but the four-seamer, 40% usage on it. I'm not a huge fan of everything else that's coming along for the ride, but that slider is a professional pitch. If it's on, 9-10 strikeouts against righties. It's just like, it's in the cards, even in like 15, 16 outs. He has that kind of talent with that one pitch.
Yeah, and if you guys do want to know the easiest way and the most cost-effective way to sign up for the Stokastic Sims, sign up with any of our affiliate partners. You guys could see all of them are right here on screen. You see the logos for these different sites. For each one that you sign up for, you get 1 free month of core Sims for a single sport of your choosing. So, hey, if you wanted to, you could pick 10 of these and get yourself 10 free months for different sports. You could go, hey, a couple of months of baseball. You could go a couple of months of football, or you could go football through the entirety of the season. But yeah, check out any of the partners that we have here on screen. We're also sponsored here by DraftKings Pick 6. So if you wanted to, if you haven't played on Pick 6 yet, you could go and sign up there. You get the good deal there where your first $5 of picks, that is going to come with $50 in bonus picks. So you get those bonus monies added to your DraftKings account. And then on top of it too, get yourself a free month of Sims. So go ahead and go check that out. Sign up. Link is down below in the YouTube description box. Just follow the instructions on the page, and you can see all of the different partners who are part of that program right there on the page for you guys as well. We got a super chat here as well. This one is from Jafar. Jafar says, thank you, guys. Would you have a few FanDuel picks that you all like? Yes. So here's what we're going to do, Jafar. We are going to wrap up the DraftKings pitching here in a second, and then we're going to move over to the FanDuel side of things. And by the way, also, Jafar says a few FanDuel picks. Do you mean for DFS or for betting? Because, I mean, the answer obviously is we could answer either of that, but I want to make sure that I understood the question correct. So whether you want betting picks, you just want some FanDuel information, we're going to be giving that in a second here as well. Outside of Zebby Matthews, are there any other cheap punts that you like?
There's 2. Will Warren against Detroit. Just what could the upside look like? There's no ownership coming in on him. Him and Casey Mize both have some positives. I would say the lefty strikeout rate for Casey Mize is definitely something that caught my attention last night. And then for Will Warren, it's always this. How many righties are in the lineup? That's all you should ever ask yourself whenever Will Warren is getting rolled out. They go Gleyber Torres, who's tough to strike out, Spencer Torkelson, Dylan Dingler. Those are 3. You want to look at what those strikeout rates are for those guys specifically, because if you can get a couple of those freebies, he has north of a 31% strikeout rate against them, has one of the most effective pitches to right-handers in that fastball, can just incessantly throw it over and over and over again, set it up with the sinker, get ahead in counts, and then has it deviate the other direction. So I really like what Will Warren does. As for Jack Leiter, his fastball was always ready to rock. Like, he's always had a professional level fastball. And he scout at Vanderbilt, wherever you looked at Jack Leiter, you knew the fastball was live. What happens when you have to throw some other pitches and get some outs and get some swing and miss? We saw it work pretty well in Seattle. We saw him really put it on them. I like this ballpark overall as a home ballpark. It really helps the ball stay in the yard. We've seen it play very pitcher friendly. And now Jack Leiter's starting to get some of those complimentary pitches to really come along for the ride. 10 strikeouts against Cleveland, 7 that he had against Texas, and then 8 that he had against Arizona. I mean, these are not nothings, and he's not pulling any ownership whatsoever. So for me, it is Jack Leiter, the most of the two, but I'm going to be mixing in a little bit of Will Warren as well. I don't really want to pivot off of Zebby Matthews. I feel the same way as you, and it's like, I think Zebby's got such a good floor in this spot because of what that slider can do against an Angels lineup that strikes out at the highest clip or second highest clip against right-handed pitching in baseball. But boy, do I think Jack Leiter could finally be starting to progress into that guy that was promised coming out of the draft.
All right, let's find a couple of bets on FanDuel for Jafar here. So Jafar, a few FanDuel picks. We could do one for each of us here, Eric, and it could be anything from a home run to a money line, whatever it is that stands out to you on the FanDuel side of things. First off, do you have any bets that you like for FanDuel?
Do I have any bets for FanDuel here? I think Ben picks maybe as far as like DFS, but let me see. So FanDuel had
he followed up in chat that it was for betting.
Home runs. Okay. I've got 2 that really stood out for me. Home runs. We got Brandon Lau. And then we got Brent Rooker. Brent Rooker's now gone from plus 400 down to like inside of plus 360, but Brandon Lau has stayed at plus 390. Get to go up against any right-handed pitcher. I know it's not as good of a home ballpark, or not as good as his home ballpark has been, Steinbrenner Field, but Yandrés Gomez, 227 expected ISO against lefties. He has somehow just been getting by, and he must pay for his sins. So Yandrés Gomez, or Homies, however you want to say it there, I don't know the origination there, but I know the accent mark. He is definitely going to be somebody who's going to give up a lot more power to lefties going forward. Brandon Lau starts that today.
I'm going to say under 5.5 strikeouts for Michael King, and it's not a knock on Michael King as much as I just don't think he's going to throw very many pitches or work deep into the game. So Jafar, that's what I've got for you. Under 5.5 strikeouts for Michael King tonight. Let's see what else we've got. Jeff Williams says that he is playing in the 888. Who are the 2 pitchers that we would use? Yeah, so for me, Zebby Matthews and Emmett Sheehan.
Yep, those are the 2. I'm playing them in single entry on DK, so I'm not going to tell you to do something that I'm not. I thought long and hard about playing Jack Leiter, and I didn't do it.
Yeah, and by the way, as far as the super cheap punt pitchers go, I don't think there's any reason to consider the guys sub 7K. Springs, Liberatore, Gomez, Hendrick, like for me, just a no, not necessary on this slate when you could get guys like Zebby Matthews for marginally more expensive price point. So let's talk about the FanDuel side of pitching really quick, and not too much different from what we have already talked about. You've got Emmett Sheehan, 17% on. Spencer Strider is $7,800, so he's 22% on. He's your chalk over on FanDuel. If you're playing one lineup on FanDuel, who's the pitcher you would want to go to, Eric?
Emmett Sheehan. I'm playing a lot of Emmett Sheehan over there, and the Cubs are my favorite stack. So there you go. That's really the way that FanDuel breaks down for me. You are getting a crazy price tag over on Spencer Strider there, sub 8K. I get why. If you just look at his props, if you look at Spencer Strider's props today, there's nothing that's going to get you away from playing some type of Spencer Strider allocation in more than one lineup. But you're playing like a handful of lineups, even like me, I love the idea of getting to some of these Cubs. I know how quiet they've been, but I just have to attack Spencer Strider at this kind of ownership on a one-pitcher site.
Yeah, so for me, I'm going to say Zebby Matthews is a little bit more expensive on FanDuel, but as a result, he's only 6% owned. You're still getting that upside from him. It is massive upside with his strikeout rate going up against the Angels, 6% ownership on Zebby Matthews. That's where I want to go if I'm playing one lineup on FanDuel. Zebby Matthews at pitcher. I think Emmett Sheehan is also a really solid option. I think he's the guy to go to in cash games over on FanDuel. $8,900, a ton of security pitching against the Colorado Rockies, but I will take Emmett Sheehan for GPPs with a third of the ownership there. Let's talk some stacks now, Eric, and I want to know from you, if you're playing one lineup in a single entry, what would be the stack that you're going towards over on DraftKings?
Boston Red Sox by a mile. I absolutely love the Boston Red Sox tonight. You get Jeffrey Springs on the mound. You get this AAA ballpark. You get a 10.5 total. And everybody's playing the Dodgers, jamming the Dodgers. Okay, sounds great. I'll take all the righties in all the land with a 202 ISO for Jeffrey Springs up against them and a fly ball pitcher against a team that hits a lot of fly balls. Bregman, Story, Gonzalez, Snyder, Rafaela, 236 expected ISO for him. I mean, there's like not a bad bat to get to in the entire Boston lineup in any way, shape, or form. And they're not pulling ownership. I will say this, I guess catcher, not my favorite there. Narvaez, I usually like when he's out there against a righty. Obviously will not be catching for them here today, but I look at what this lineup is on a day in, day out basis. It is so platoon central. And we haven't seen them pinch hit. We haven't seen Cora go and do the pinch hit stuff as much as I expected him to for like Romy Gonzalez, Rob Snyder. He usually kind of lets guys play the entire game and gives them like the night off until like the ninth inning where you might get sniped by a pinch hit. But I was going through some of the box scores, I think it was on Sunday or Saturday, and I was just kind of like, this is weird. When's the last time Romy Gonzalez or Rob Snyder got pinch hit for? It's been a long time. I had to go back to August. So again, they've faced a number of lefties here. It's definitely one of those things where at the current ownership, I can't not stack up a ton of Boston. And then I'm obviously going to be watching my Twins. So yeah, Minnesota with Buxton back. Useful today.
So I like this team more on FanDuel than DraftKings, but still like them on DraftKings a good amount as well, especially at their ownership. The Chicago Cubs going up against Spencer Strider. Talked about the concerns with him. We were talking about pitching. Listen to his numbers post All-Star break. His strikeout rate is 17.5%. He is a 6.32 FIP and a 4.86 xFIP since the All-Star break. I kind of think he's broken right now. His fastball velocity is also way down. It's nearly 2 miles per hour lower since we last saw him healthy. I still can't figure out exactly what happened with Strider because he started the year a little bit shaky. It seemed like he was improving, and all of a sudden it was like, all right, is he a Cy Young candidate now? No, but he's back to being a top of the rotation pitcher. And then it just all fell apart really quickly. And now it's like this guy looks like he doesn't even belong at the big leagues over the course of his last couple of months of start. So you get a modestly owned Cubs offense in a hitter-friendly environment in Atlanta, taking on Spencer Strider, who really seems to be dealing with issues right now. And he's pulling ownership. He's the chalk over on FanDuel. He's not the chalk on DraftKings, but he is somewhat popular. I think there's a lot of leverage in stacking up the Cubs tonight.
Absolutely love it. They're my favorite stack on FanDuel. Brought them up. There's nothing on earth that could get me away from playing them today.
Yeah, and then especially on FanDuel, like I said, where the Cubs are the most, Strider is the most popular pitcher on the entire slate. Also, I know that you had shouted them out here. They're showing up a good amount in the Sims. My favorite value stack to be getting to is the Minnesota Twins for tonight. They are going up against Kyle Hendricks, who, credit to him, he has pitched marginally better this year than he has in some of his recent seasons, but it's still not like a massive sample size for Kyle Hendricks or anything like that. And he was never somebody who threw hard. Now, though, the fastball velocity is really crazy down at this point in his career. 86.5 miles per hour is the average fastball velocity for Kyle Hendricks at 35 years old. His strikeout rate this year, 14.8%. And on top of it, he is an above league average. All the numbers are awful for Kyle Hendricks in terms of like the bad ball metrics, where he doesn't generate swing and misses. He's a 38.5% ground ball rate. So that's the lowest of his career. He still has an above league average home run to fly ball rate. And you pair that with the 14% strikeout rate. You get one of these starts where he's leaving the ball over the plate, Eric. He's live to give up multiple home runs anytime he steps on the mound. And when your Minnesota Twins are as cheap as they are, I think this is a really good value stack.
Absolutely love it. We just kind of nailed all of my favorite teams, and the Sims are kind of nailing the exact same teams. The Angels are a wild one up against Zebby, for what it's worth. That's one that I'm not probably as big of a fan of, but Minnesota, awesome. Athletics, really nice against a guy making his debut. Although, did you see his strikeout rate? He's not available to play here, but did you see his strikeout rate in AAA? He's like north of 30%. He would have been a very interesting 4K pitcher to talk about today. But yeah, not available on the main slates on either
He's
side.
on the slate. He's
7200.
7,200. Yeah.
Oh, shit. I didn't even see him. Did they add him late?
Yes. Yeah. So actually he got added not all that long ago. He's in our projections now, but yeah, this afternoon he was not in the pricing.
Okay, look up his strikeout rate. I just wrote him off because I didn't think he was there. He's in play for today. Like he's an in-play pitcher for me today. I went through some of the stuff. It looks ridiculous. Now a lot of it was double A, but then again, I don't want to say WORCESTER because I can't pronounce it apparently. I just never say it correctly. How do you say that again? Worcester?
Worcester?
Oh, I did say it. Okay, correct. That's the first time I've ever said that correctly.
That is what you're trying to say, correct?
Yes, correct. I just, not to spell it like it's TREAT because I've got my dog next to me or something, but I couldn't think, my brain can't think of where to say it.
That's right. Eric can't spell because his dog is next to him.
You know what I mean?
Otherwise, Eric nails spelling, but his dog's around him and spelling becomes impossible.
The ballpark is the concern for everything, Ken Ratty. I mean, obviously, there's no doubt that you go into Sacramento. We were very early adopters of the Tampa Bay and Sacramento home run department here on this program, like day one for us over the course of these MLB shows. But Worcester? It's Worcester. See, I knew it was different. Worcester.
I know what place you're talking about.
Yeah, it's the AAA. I just know that I've said it wrong so many times on shows. So whenever I reference the Boston AAA department, I just always say it wrong and somebody yells at me. So I just don't even try anymore. But look at his strikeout stuff at AAA. Take a look. It's in our book, Reading Rainbow.
Yeah. I do have, if you were to punt with him, I don't think it's I don't have an issue with it. He's not a priority for me or anything like that.
Oh, definitely not. But I'm saying like in play to mix in. Moncada's batting second today. Holy shit. Okay. Is that new? No, they did the Trout Moncada thing yesterday. That's right. Adele is in the lineup. That's wild. I did not see that coming.
Yeah. Trout, Moncada, Neto, Ward, Adele, Rengifo, Peraza, Rivero, and Teodosio. So there you got it.
No Taylor. That's a bummer for our guy Zebby, but updating this. Rivero strikes out a fudge ton. Just saying.
Any other stacks that are important to you? There are a lot of teams that, like you guys see here on the Sims, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 9 teams that are showing up between 4 and 12% of lineup. So a lot of teams that are viable, but overall, my favorite stacks are the ones that I had pointed out before, being the Minnesota Twins and the Chicago Cubs for some of the leverage there. The Dodgers, they're fine. They're a little bit too popular for me. I fully recognize that they're the team that should be expected to score the most runs on the slate. Oh, by the way, also the Red Sox. So my 3 favorite stacks overall, Twins, Cubs, Red Sox. Dodgers, the ownership's just a little bit high for me relative to their price point.
Agreed on all points.
All right. Want to build a couple of lineups then before we close it out?
I would love that.
All right. I want to start on FanDuel and building out a Cub stack to get leverage off of Strider. I want to start on FanDuel because, I mean, once again, the Cubs look good to me on DraftKings as well, but even more so on FanDuel, we're getting the really high ownership on Strider, project for over 20% ownership. So what are the hitters you like the most from the Cubs?
The two that pop for me every freaking day and can't do anything. Michael Busch and Pete Crow Armstrong. They just look ridiculous. They're north of minus 170 for the way that I go about doing things on hits plus runs plus RBIs. They're both in the marketplace at like minus 125. I put them in a bunch of pick'em cards for people, but I didn't have the gumption to be able to just bet them individually today because I knew looking at FanDuel and looking at Spencer Strider's pricing, I was going to be invested in their success in a big way today in some way, shape, or form. So there's that. I will also say Willie Castro, probably my favorite different batter to be getting to there of my former Minnesota Twins, gets to go up against a righty. And normally he is a lefty killer, but over the course of this season, switch hitters just kind of found a little bit of a rhythm here up against some of these righties that are just a little bit weaker quality. And you go to Castro and his numbers here, 134 expected ISO doesn't pop by any means, but he has 7 homers against them and a 303 xWOBA against righties. That's much improved year over year.
So I filled it in with Seiya Suzuki and Ian Happ. Now let's complete the lineup and see what we get around these guys. We ended up getting to Emmett Sheehan at pitcher. Then we've got Richie Palacios, Moncada, Rengifo. So yeah, I don't necessarily love the Angels hitters, but we'll run this because this is what ended up showing up just using the optimizer, and we'll see how the sim ROI looks. Obviously, still really like getting to the Cubs as a stack. Let's see. All right, came out pretty solid. Yeah, 32.1% sim ROI. I dig it. That is going to get us a little bit of leverage off of Strider. So I picked the Cubs over on FanDuel, Eric. I'm going to let you pick our DraftKings stack. Which DK team do you want to go to? Do you want it to be Boston? Do you want it to be your Minnesota Twins, or you want to go a different direction?
Let's go Boston. Boston's my favorite leverage stack. Well, not leverage. My favorite low-owned stack to be getting to over there. And we just got their lineup. Gonzalez is leading off tonight. So trying to snipe some stuff right now with him in the hits department, the bases department, because Gonzalez, Bregman, Story, Ref Snyder. I do think this probably increases the pinch hit risk for him with Nate Lau, who can come in and be from the left side against a righty reliever. So keep that in mind. If you're playing Gonzalez with him not next to Ref Snyder, there's a pretty good chance that they're all right having that turn into Nate Lowe later.
I added in Bregman and Story in addition to Gonzalez. So give me a couple of other bats here, Eric.
Let's go. Let's get the one lefty in there. They do have Narvaez catching today, but Duran. Mr. Jaron Duran.
Okay. And then Narvaez, do you want to go to?
Yeah, Narvaez is there too. I think probably throw him on in. Eaton, Sogard, and then Rafael in the 9-hole. Back to the 9-hole for him is a little bit of a bummer.
All right, so we've got our 5-man stack: Narvaez, Gonzalez, Bregman, Story, and Duran. And now let's use the optimizer to complete the lineup around our stack. And we got to Sheehan and Zebby Matthews as the pitchers, Jake Berger, Brent Rooker, and Jock Peterson rounding out the lineup. Let's see how this one looks.
That's going to be money.
I think this one will come out pretty decent.
It's going to come out really good.
Yeah, 90.3% sim ROI. So we've got the Red Sox top stack overall on the slate. We do have the Red Sox with an 11.6% chance of being the top scoring team on the slate, which leads all teams in our top stack stool. There's only 2 teams that we have over 10% odds of being the top scoring team tonight in the top stack stool. It's the Dodgers and the Red Sox. Those 2 teams far and above everybody else in terms of raw projected output. Josh Gillum in the chat did ask why the tools hate the Dodgers. We have the Dodgers with the second highest overall odds being the top stack on the slate, but they're very popular and they're also very expensive. So those 2 things combined together have them as the most over-owned team on the entire slate in the top stack. So it's not because we don't project them well. It's just relative to their price and what the ownership is, but they do project well. We got them project for 6 runs. That's the highest of any team on the slate in terms of just the fantasy points. We got them second most there. It's just not enough for them to be worthwhile relative to what their projected ownership is. So, Eric, we've built some stacks. We've gone over some of our favorite options for the slate. Now it is time for Dong. So I want to know from you, Eric, and then we'll also read off some of the picks from chat as well. Who are you picking to go yard tonight, Eric?
Well, none of my bets really kind of show up for me in a DFS perspective. So I'm playing mostly on FanDuel tonight. I do have quite a bit of DK too, but 50 lineups DK, but more volume on FanDuel. I love the idea of the leverage. He's got to do something eventually. Pete Crow Armstrong. Flap the frick. Can we get back? PCA season. Let's go.
Boy, you are desperate for him to get back to the man that he once was.
It's weird because I haven't gotten that buried, but now the numbers have gotten to like plus 550 the other day, and I was just like, oh shit, there's no way I'm not betting this. And now I'm like on a 0 for 3 Pete Crow Armstrong skid, and I'm feeling like I need it
Same
bad.
team, different player. I'm going with Seiya Suzuki to homer today. Don't do the impression of that one, Eric, because I want to, same way that you tried to say me before.
Is he a Minnesota cheerleader, Greg? I don't know.
We could act that one out afterwards. Let's see what we got from the YouTube chat. Who are you guys picking to homer today? We've got Ryan Stubbs going with Ian Happ for today. We've got Ken Ratty going with Manny Machado. Io Kimbrough also is going with Pete Crow Armstrong for today. NY Steele is going with Thomas. We've got Steven Leibowitz going with Rob Refschneider. By the way, we got the YouTube censorship going rogue here, and everybody puts dong in the chat. It's censoring them, so I have to uncensor those messages. Tango Hotel has got Blaze Alexander. Marquee Sports is going with Sheets for a big dong. Pierre's got Colby Thomas and Michael Bush. Barnaby O'Toole is going with Junior Caminero. We've got Malukar going to Riley Green. We've got Chris Williams going to Max Muncy. Amy is going with Rafael Devers for today. We've got Eugenio Suarez from Jetty. We've got Darnell going with Narvaez for tonight. Ryan Rennebaum also has got Rafael Devers. Yay Taco, he's agreeing with you, Eric. Yay Taco is also going with Pete Crow Armstrong for tonight. A lot of people going with Thomas today. We've also got Alex Diaz going with Thomas. Humboldt Parker has got William Contreras. We've got Legit Brit going with both Brandon Lau and Josh Lowe. So the Lowe and the Lau pick right there. We've got Trent Grisham from Chump Get Ya Strap. We've got Wallner from G Joyner. There's the new names pick up just all the time. You see the new ones in chat. Colson Montgomery from Aaron Hines. Shea Langoliers from Rooster Slinky. Note for Jason is going with Andrew Vaughn. Mike Swarek is also going with Max Muncy. It's Jay Metz is going. Colby Thomas. Colby Thomas has been picked like 8 times in chat. Jake Lomazow has got George Springer. We've got Dan going with Trevor Story. Ott Knapp has got Wallner. We've got Shea Langoliers from Ram 33. Royce Lewis from Ant 888. Ketel Marte from Slim. We've got Brent Rooker from Don Norris. And that's going to do it for us today, guys. One more time, if you haven't done yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. It really helps us out. Just take a half second of your time to go ahead and do that. And then also, want to one more time, shout out DraftKings Pick 6. So really good deal going on over at DraftKings. New customers, play $5 in first pick sets, get $50 in bonus bets. If you do have a gambling problem, call or text the number 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Valid only where Pick 6 operates. See dk.co/Pick 6 states. Void in New York and Ontario or where prohibited. Eligibility restrictions do apply. 1 per new DraftKings customer. $5 first pick set to receive a max $50 issued as bonus picks that expire 14 days after they're rewarded. This offer is going to end October 13th at 11:59 p.m. Terms and conditions can be found over at pick6.draftkings.com/promotions, sponsored by DraftKings. Good luck tonight, everybody.